Growing up, I cared for my mum who was severe mental health issues. It was really tough until the age of 18 when I left home. I also have had some traumatic events in my life which have led to me being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. It is under control, but at times it can be quite difficult.
My experience with mental health and social issues is that I've suffered all my life really, especially with my mental health, anxiety, depression, all that sort of thing. And social issues, I used drugs for about 5 years. I maintained a normal life while doing that, but when I look back you realise how much it invades into everything.
I have lived experience from being in addiction for many, many years, but in recovery now. I'd say being an addict can affect you mentally, so I understand the trauma, I understand the anxiety.
With my experience and what this role was, I could really see how I could bring something extra to the table alongside academics and work experience, where I could help people with my own personal stuff and maybe some of the stuff I've done to get through some of it.
What interested me in becoming a peer support worker was just working with different people. No two people are the same, and also being able to give my experience to those people and be able to put myself in their shoes.
It was appealing to me to be a peer support worker because I really value lived experience. I'm passionate about it. I've met people like myself who are trapped in the medical model, who are addicts or alcoholics, and they've never spoken to anyone like me. I'm not saying I'm different, but they've never had anyone talk about lived experience and that we can recover.
My experience as a recovery liaison worker has been hard. When you see yourself in other people, that's probably one of the most difficult things, especially up in A&E. You know, we see the worst of the worst, I guess. It's people that you can see some of yourself in crisis, and you can sort of very quickly feel like you're in the same position as them, because you really can feel where they may be and what they're dealing with.
What's different as a peer support worker is that you can share appropriately with the people that you're working with your own lived experience and the difficulties that you understand in the context of the difficulties that they're having.
It's just fantastic. I love it. I love you don't know from one day to the next what you're going to be doing. You can have your good days and your bad days, but you do work as a team, and that is amazing.
My experience of being a peer support worker has been amazing. The most I get out of is when I'm in my car and I'm going to a new client's house and I'm meeting them for the first time and I bring hope, and they walk away going, I've never told anyone that before, Nikki. That's it. That's in a nutshell.
A typical day in the life of a peer support worker is no day is ever the same. I could be in court one day, I could be putting somebody in a refuge the next day. It varies day to day.
I find that there isn't a typical day within my work. There are common things that I do, so working with people on the universal credits, the PIP, the housing benefit, people of no fixed board. When I'm actually working with those people out in the field, I'm also weaving in low intensity CBT, so that could be psychoeducation on anxiety and depression, lifestyle management such as sleep hygiene, cognitive restructuring, it could be graded exposure, generally talking to people in a compassionate way.
The biggest achievement I've had as a peer support worker is supporting an individual through the trial process of a historical childhood sexual offences case, supporting this individual with texts, emails, face-to-face, and ensuring that they stay alive through the whole trial and getting a guilty verdict at the end has been probably the best moment of my life.
What we bring allows us to break down barriers almost immediately with some of these people. They might have worked with us before or worked with someone from in the community who they know has experience that they have, be it with drugs or social problems, and I think that really does make a big difference. I've had at least 10 encounters with people where, because I've been able to talk about their drug use in a more informed way. They've spoke to me in a way that they wouldn't have spoke to me otherwise.
Peer support worker brings to organisations such as LCFT, you know, a voice for those service users who don't currently have one.
We bring to LCFT, by being peer support workers, a different spin on things. When I go out with a client, they can open up to me and probably say what they wouldn't say to another professional, because I'm opening up a bit of my story about what I did. They don't have that shame or guilt speaking to me, because they know I've been there, but they know I'm recovering as well. So they share a lot of stuff that they wouldn't have ever told anyone else.
I was offered the option to have a peer support worker through my care coordinator under the mental health team.
I heard about the peer support through the NHS, where we got referred, and I was going through a really bad time. I was waiting for a long time to get a support worker through the NHS, and I heard about the Calico. They've helped me a hell of a lot, and they've helped me come out of a really bad time. And I don't think without their support, I probably wouldn't be here now.
I heard about the peer support workers through Woodlands. I wasn't very good at keeping appointments and things like that, so they suggested that this might actually be something better for me, and that they would come out to help me, obviously, to get a better accommodation and see if they could help with anything else that I needed.
It was appealing to me to connect with someone on more of an emotional level. You're not just a case or a number, you actually matter to someone.
It was the support that they give. They help you. They help you with all your problems and basically talk sense to you, really, when you're going through a bad time. And the rest of it, it really has helped me a hell of a lot.
Yeah, when they went for the first meeting and that was like, oh, you know, I was about to let that slide on my hand, you know what I'm saying, the support and, you know, and get somebody that understands, you know what I'm saying, how you feel, you know, because I always felt like isolated and nobody understand me, you know, so yeah, it was good though.
What was appealing about working with a peer support worker was, in all honesty, when I first met my peer support worker, she walked into quite a volatile situation, which meant she understood where I was coming from and what some of my issues were, and that really did help.
I've had mental health issues for quite a long time due to some childhood abuse, suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and several other things. So I've been in hospital several times.
My experience with mental health issues, over a year ago, I just walked into a normal Tesco's extra. A guy come in with a clown mask on, with a handgun. I ended up tackling him in the shop in front of a load of women and children. But because he was on drugs, every time I knocked him down, he just kept getting back up. In the end, I thought I was going to do some damage to him, so I backed off, and that's when he sliced me across the face with a Stanley knife. After that, I was struggling to cope. Obviously, I had to have time off work. I was trying to support a family at the time. It was all getting too much. And in the end, I ended up trying to hang myself. And then I ended up going to hospital for a long time to get myself sorted out. And then I come out. And yeah, it's been a long struggle, but I'm getting there now, just with the right help.
My experience with mental health is difficult and always been. And yeah, until I got a peer support work, and then I started coming out of the house, because before that I wasn't able to go out of the house at all, so I'll just be sitting in my room. And then since I got peer support work, and then I'll be able to go out around, you know, to go like Costa Coffee, sort of things like that, and have a chat, you know.
My experience with mental health issues is quite a list. I've had eating disorders, like self-harm, I've had depression, anxiety, but I think my biggest one is self-worth. I've never really had any of that, and I was always told who I was and kind of pushed down to never know who I am.
The work with a peer support worker is different because it's a lot more on a personal level, whereas with the mental health team it's a lot more medical and formal. This is more informal.
What's different, I'd probably say, about a peer support worker is they're there to help you. They're there to try and push you on. Whereas if you've got depression or you don't want to do anything, whereas they give you that bit of a nudge that you need to help you, and give you the support that you need.
I think main thing is like having somebody that understands. So when you speak about how you feel, that's what other people, when I try to talk about how I feel like they don't understand me. So I just I choose not to speak to them about how I feel. Just keep suppressing what I feel in that. But with support worker, every time I speak, she understands how I feel, and so it feels good when somebody understands you, understands how we're feeling, and it feels good.
The sort of things that have been different compared to other places where I've accessed for my mental health is I feel like it's personal support from my situation for me.
If I could recommend a peer support worker to somebody, I'd say go for it, because it's honestly been the best support I've ever had in my entire life. The best thing about the support was my support worker. She saved my life.
If I could recommend a peer support worker to somebody, I'd say do it.
I'd definitely recommend it though, definitely, Again, as I said at the beginning, I didn't get out of my house at all. I was just sitting in my room, you know what I'm saying? If it was a support worker, I'd just still be at my house, I wouldn't come out at all. So, since I got it, I've like a lot of progress, Just talking, and that's the main thing, just talking and come back at the house, it's just like more refreshed, So somebody, texting you, calling sometimes, say how you feeling, I'm moving you down, make sure you call me, that's a big thing though,
If I could recommend a peer support worker, I would say obviously to go for it, because nobody is exactly the same, and if you can get somebody that can listen to you and can just help you move a little bit forward, that is so much more than a situation that you're in or anything going backwards, because even on the worst days when you can't be bothered, just having somebody that's positive, eventually it's like misery loves company, but positivity, it rubs off on you, and eventually you kind of have to stop like feeling sorry for yourself, because there's somebody there that actually believes in you.
I feel a lot more positive about my mental health situation than I did before I met her.
I've come out of a really bad time, but I've got hope now, and I know it's still early days yet, but I know that I'm going to be all right in the long run.
My mental health situation right now, wow. A couple of months ago I was not good. If you'd have asked me where I would be this time next year, I would probably say dead, because I was drinking to do that. I didn't feel like I was worth anything. My mental health situation right now is manageable. I'm doing everything that I can, and I'm proud of what I've done. I reach out as soon as I can and once I realise, and I feel like I'm not bothering people. I feel like it's okay to do that. And today about my mental health, I've got a little bit of self-worth. It's not loads, but that little bit I want to keep hold of, so I'm quite defensive of that, and nobody's going to take it away, and that's just made such a difference to me.